Hello, gorgeous woman. Welcome back to another episode of Becoming an Online Sales Queen. I'm Rach Howarth, your host. And in this episode, we're going to dive into what I believe is responsible for 8 out of 10 of the programs that aren't selling, not selling. So if your offer right now, whether it's a coaching offer, a service like virtual assistants, like social media management, if you're in the beauty education space, if you're selling courses, whatever it is that you sell, service wise, we tend not to talk about product sales here, but whatever it is that you're selling, if it's not selling, I would say in 80% of cases, it's because of this. It's because of this one thing that we are going to unpack in this week's episode. And I know when I say it, because I speak about this a lot in my mastermind program, I know when we talk about this, a lot of the girls say, but I thought I was doing that. Like, I feel like I have been doing that, but maybe the message is not getting across. So what we're talking about is selling the result, selling the outcome, selling the transformation, okay? Now, you might think in your content and your messaging that you are doing that, but if it's not selling, there's a very good chance that you're not doing that, right? You think you are, so you're doing it in a very general way, but you're not doing it in a specific way. And it needs to be done in a very specific way, in a very tangible way, in a way that your ideal client really relates to for it to translate into sales, into cash, into clients, okay? So let's get into it. As always, I'll put the offer out there. If I say anything that you think, I want to know more about that, I wish you'd have spoken more about that, or you've got a question, my Instagram DMs are always open for you, okay? So go to my Instagram, it's at Rach Howarth, and just drop me a message, right? You can ask me a question. You can even give me some ideas for future podcast shows. I would love to hear from you. So let's get into this week's episode then. So selling the result. What do I really mean by selling the result? So I'll give you a couple of examples that will probably help. So if you're a social media management business and you believe that you are selling content or you are selling Instagram services, I'm here to tell you that you're not. What you are actually selling is leads, sales, conversations. And for me, when I hired a social media management team, what I was really buying was time. Yeah, because I knew how to create content. I knew how to call in leads. I knew how to make sales. What I wanted was time back in my calendar. So hiring a social media manager that I trusted meant that I had the time, the space, the peace, the confidence to leave that part of my business. And obviously I still play a part in what we post and what we say and how we say it. And I still approve all the content. But it was the time saving. It was the fact I was getting time back, which was my tangible result, okay? And the key word there is tangible. Another example, right? If you are a weight loss coach, and thank you to those of you that have reached out about my weight loss journey. I've lost, what have I lost? Just under 2 stone now, which I've been trying to do for a while, but it just seems to have worked lately. And I think it's cortisol related, right? So this is a whole other topic of conversation, but I know a lot of you have reached out that regularly watch me on videos and said, you're looking slimmer, Rach, around the face. And it's often something that we don't want to pass comment on, when someone's on a weight loss journey, but I do appreciate your messages. So thank you for that. But if you were a weight loss coach and you are hearing me say, sell the result, you might think, well, I am selling the result. I'm selling weight loss. Like, that's the result. I'm selling weight loss. How much clearer can I make it, Rach? You're not selling weight loss. Yeah, you are not selling weight loss. Just like a social media management business is not selling content. You are not selling weight loss. You are selling the feeling that somebody has when they look and feel better, when they feel healthier, when their denim shorts from last summer finally squeeze over their ass. Yeah, like, you are selling the feeling. You're not selling weight loss. That might be the result when you look at it logically. Yeah, they're a stone heavier, they work with you, they're a stone lighter. You think, I'm selling weight loss, that's what I'm selling. And when people come to you, they say, I want to lose weight. So you think saying you come to me and work with me, you're going to lose weight. You think that that is the result. It isn't. The thing that people really buy is the feeling, the emotion, the activation that they think, that they have when they think about themselves a stone lighter. Yeah. When you think about the fact that, me hiring a social media management team put hours back in my day, I felt lighter then. It's like, oh, brilliant. I get time back. So we're going to dive into what I call my worth model, because my worth model touches on the 5 key areas of a human being's life that trigger a buying decision. Okay, the worth model is a framework that I've built. This is my framework. I created it. Maybe other people do, similar things. I'm not sure, but I'm sure I'm not the first person to try to define what the key things are, the tangible things are that are buying motivations. Okay, these are buying motivators. So it's called the worth model because it's an acronym. So we'll start with W. This in some ways is the most obvious. And the W stands for wealth, right? People make a buying decision. They invest in the tangible, specific outcome of wealth. Okay. And when you see my marketing and I say, I will help you create your first 100K launch, I'm selling wealth, right? But what I'm also selling on the back of that is the feeling that goes with the wealth. It's the feeling of choice, the feeling of ease. When you have abundance of cash, you have ease and choice and freedom. Yeah. So wealth is the first one. And if you are maybe social media management client, like maybe you are a VA, yeah, you might sell wealth in the fact that you give back the business owner some time so that they can spend it on sales activities, for example. Yeah, so in what way does what you do create a wealth outcome? Okay, maybe wealth is your number one buying motivator. It's certainly my number one in my business. That is the number one reason why people would choose me. But there's 4 other reasons. Okay, now once I've finished all 5, I'm going to challenge you to think about how many of them your result actually does touch, because I know that I sell all 5. Okay, so let's carry on. W, wealth, is the first one. The second one is opportunity, right? O for opportunity. People are motivated to invest when they believe that what they're going to get as a return on that investment is opportunity. So that could be investing in a university course. That could be investing in a travel ticket around the world because you want the opportunity to see, the wonders of the world, or to see a certain country, or an opportunity to go and visit a relative in another world, in another country. Yeah, like, do you want to go to another galaxy? Oh God, Rach, you crazy woman. So yeah, opportunity is the second part of the worth model. Okay, people make buying decisions to create opportunity. The R of the worth model is relationships. People are motivated to buy when the return on that investment is relationship based. So that could be a love interest. Yeah, people would invest to get love, to feel love, to be able to recover from love. Yeah, so think about like recovering from a traumatic relationship, from a divorce, from a broken relationship, to repair relationships with loved ones, to repair relationships with family. Yeah, relationships, our relationships as humans is such an important part of our lives. Yeah, and so when you think about what are the buying motivations of humans, relationships is one of them, right? Love, friendship, the feeling of being in community. We make investments to have good relationships. The T is time. Yeah, we make investments to get back time. I gave you that example already with the social media management. That is also a specific result of a VA. Yeah, like there's lots of things that you could be selling that would give a time investment, like a time result. Yeah, so think about, how does your product, how does your service, how does the package that you sell help somebody to gain time? And then the H is health, right? We make buying motivated decisions if we think that we can improve our health. So that's the weight loss, the self-care, the way that you feel, yeah, like your health could be helping you with menopause. It could be helping you with a certain symptom that nobody's been able to really put their finger on and help you to recover from. Yeah, like feeling good is important to us, so we make investments when the benefit is health. So if I just run through the worth model again for you, you've got wealth, opportunities, relationships, time, and health. These are the 5 big buying motivations. So if you are dancing around in your messaging and your copy, talking about very generalized, small time results, but you're not touching on those big, powerful, life moving results, life changing outcomes of wealth, opportunities, relationships, time, and health, if you are not touching on those things, then your audience may not be able to join the dots. They might not realize that working with you is going to save them time, that working with you is going to improve their health. Okay. Now, I said to you earlier, wealth is the most obvious one that I sell, but I touch all 5, right? So, yes, I help women to make money, but I also help women to create opportunities, because the money that I help them to make might pay for their child to go to private school, might pay for their husband to go back and learn at university, might pay for them to get on a flight to their favorite country, to go away on a retreat, to unlock opportunities that they've been unable to unlock. I also help my clients to improve their relationships. And you might think, well, how do you do that if you're not a relationship coach? How does your work as a business mentor help people's relationships? Well, it does, because if I'm helping a client who's working all the hours under the sun, she's working all day long, and then in the evening, she's sat at her laptop doing all her admin and working really, really hard, not paying attention to her partner, not paying attention to her children, not calling her mum, not checking in with her friends, her relationships are going to get worse and worse and worse. And then in the end, she's going to really feel that, because she might have a growing business, but she's got shitty relationships. So I help my clients to improve the relationships in their life, because I help them to build an aligned business. I help them to manage their time, to manage their productivity, to build aligned strategies. And that in turn helps their relationships. The T, how do I help my clients to save time if I'm not a VA? If I'm not doing a done for you service, how on earth am I helping my clients to save time? Well, I have this joke with the girls in my mastermind about me being a stripper, right? Because most of the things that I help them with when it comes to their strategy is stripping back. Yeah, it's not adding more offers, adding more products, adding more things to do. I help my clients in the biggest way by helping them to see where they need to strip. They need to scale back before they can scale forwards. Yeah. So when you think about that, then you're like, oh, okay, I can see how Rachel's actually helping her clients to generate time, to have more time, because I'm getting them out of being busy and getting them into being intentional. Yeah. And then the H, well, I'm not a health coach, but how do I help my clients to create better health? Well, part of every program I ever run, there is always an angle on well-being and self-care. There is always an angle on mindset. There is always an angle on habit stacking. And are you really stacking your habits and spending your time in the best way possible so that you can feel as good as possible? Because I always believe fun is a business strategy. Fun is a growth strategy. And if you are not having fun in your business, well, then what is the bloody point, right? So when you have fun, when you feel good, when you are getting out of bed in the morning and you've got a strong, healthy morning routine, when you are finishing your day with a really good evening ritual so that you can wind down and go to sleep and get good quality sleep. Nobody sleeps well when they're stressed out. When your business is chaos, you feel overwhelmed. That is not good for your health. Yeah, so I help my clients to work on their strategy, to work on their growth and their scaling plans, and that in turn helps them with their health. Okay. So now that I've walked through how my business helps all 5 areas, I'm going to challenge you to do the same, right? I'm going to challenge you to think about those 5 areas of wealth, opportunity, relationships, time, and health, and think about how does the result that you sell touch those 5 areas, and more importantly, how are you articulating that in your messaging? Are you getting into the detail of that when you talk about the problems that you solve? Are you getting into it when you talk about, if it's a program, you will walk away from this program with, or by working together on this package, you will get, you will gain, you will have. Do you touch on these very specific and emotionally driven buying motivators? And I promise you, if you're not, if you are seeing the result of the thing that you sell as being very generic, very logical, like it's social media management, therefore I'm selling content. It's weight loss, therefore I'm selling the fact that the scales go down. It's more than that. It's more than that. I want you to think about the feeling. I want you to think about the impact. And I want you to think about the worth model. Okay, so if there's anything that you're selling right now that has been a struggle so far to sell, I am virtually certain, like sure as sure can be, that if you can inject the messaging that supports these 5 big buying motivations into your copy, into your sales pages, into your content, you will sell more of your offer. So when you're on sales calls, you might want to ask about these things. You might right now not be asking questions about, how does this problem impact your life? How does this problem have a bearing on your family, on your time? Yeah, does this problem have an impact on your health? How would solving it really feel? What would fixing this really look like for you? Do you probe in that way? Yeah, do you probe right now in that way? And if you don't, start. Yeah, start doing that now, because these are the things that as humans activate us. They really motivate us to make investments, because as humans we want change, we crave change, we're built for change. Yes, we love to stay safe, of course we do. Our little brains love nothing more than to wrap us up in cotton wool and keep us very, very safe, or stuck, whichever way you want to look at it, but safe. Yeah. But really, the way that we live our lives, we're always looking for the next best thing. We're always looking for what would make that different, what would make that better, what would make that more enjoyable, what would make that more fun, what would make that more amazing. We're always looking for the gap, for the change, for the different. Although we like to be safe and comfortable, we do have magpie syndrome. We do love a shiny object. Yeah. And so think about your ideal client and what their next level looks like, what their shift, what their breakthrough looks like. Think about what's getting in their way, and then make the tiny little tweaks in your messaging to bring in these 5 big buying motivators. And I promise you, it will make a big difference to your copy, okay? I had all these notes with me here. I barely looked at it once, have I? So hopefully I've touched on all the key points. Like I said at the beginning, if there's anything that you want to ask me, fire away. My DMs are always, always open for you. And if you want to know more about the worth model, you want to know more about coming to work with me inside one of my sales programs, then I run a 6 or 12-month sales accelerator. You can join for both. And I also run my Infinite Abundance Mastermind and my Infinite Abundance Millionaire Mastermind. Okay.